If you've made it this far in this video series, you know what you need to know to start the right resident council for your nursing home and get it running smoothly. This last video offers tips that can help keep it working for every resident for years to come.
Some of our residents don't want to speak up at council meetings, even though they have important things to say.
If it's a small group, try having the leader ask for everyone's opinion, either a show of hands or by calling each resident by name. Sometimes, just appealing to quieter residents directly can be all it takes to help them get involved. Also, try asking for pros and cons on issues that come up. Alternating a pro with a con can get the conversation going and pull in multiple viewpoints.
We have one person who just won't stop talking, and it's hard to get a word in.
It's important to allow all residents to speak their piece, but make sure to invite others to share their opinions on each topic. If the vocal resident tries to speak again or take over the conversation, thank them for their ideas and politely let them know that everyone needs a chance to speak. Follow this by calling on another resident and inviting them to share their thoughts.
Sometimes there are individuals who take up everybody's time with issues that really only apply to themselves.
Resident councils exist to serve the entire resident body, addressing concerns that may affect everyone. If a problem is brought up that only affects one resident, that resident should be encouraged to use the community's grievance procedure. If the problem affects multiple residents, it then becomes the responsibility of the council to address it.
At our home, we have the problem where nobody wants to accept the leadership role on the council.
Because there are so few hard and fast rules, you can expand the leadership roles to more than one person. Residents may be more willing to step forward if they understand there are other residents who share the responsibilities and fill in should someone become unable to fulfill their responsibilities. Resident councils don't have to be a lot of work. Even loosely organized councils can be helpful to their communities.
A lot of us, especially the newer folks, don't understand our rights as residents. How can we change that?
Your ombudsman is the best starting point. They're there, in part anyway, to educate residents, including the leaders on the resident council, on resident rights. You can find your ombudsman's phone number on the Residents' Rights poster on display in your long-term care community.
I'd like to take a leadership position, but I just don't know how. I've never done anything like that before.
Not all residents have had the opportunity to serve in formal leadership positions. Providing simple leadership training may be a way to help ease someone's concern about not being an effective leader. Here too, your ombudsman can help find classes and other educational opportunities.
I have a question about staff, actually a couple of questions. How involved can they be? Can they retaliate against us?
Staff is there to help, but that's all staff is there to do. They can work for the council at its request, but may not interfere in its business. This includes administrative staff, and they are in no way allowed to retaliate. It's against the law, both federal and state. This includes verbal and nonverbal retaliation. The community's administrator must respond to and fix every report of retaliation by staff in a timely manner, whether real or perceived.
My home doesn't have a resident council, and people seem pretty satisfied. Do we really need one?
Long-term care communities are only required to have resident councils if residents actually want them. So no, you don't have to have one, but residents and circumstances change. So if you come to a point where you want one, all you have to do is ask. If you do start one, make sure to document those efforts for surveyors. Also, if your home doesn't have a council, residents can still form committees around single concerns like food, activities, or laundry. Just make sure, if there is no council, that residents know about grievance policies and procedures at your home so they can voice concerns if they have them.
You know, we have resident council bylaws, but we just don't follow them. Is that going to be a problem for the survey team or the ombudsman?
Bylaws are there for the resident council. If they're not being followed, it's more a problem for the council. The guidelines are there to provide consistency and ease in conducting the meetings. If they're not being followed, they should be changed, with the council's approval, of course, to reflect the council's needs. The survey team or ombudsman will only ask for a copy of the bylaws if the council needs help resolving issues.
Our resident council runs on autopilot these days, but it wasn't always that way. When I first got here, we barely even had one.
Now we're in charge of making decisions about what goes on around here.
Resident councils are there for us. That's the place to really express yourself, get to know others, and make a difference.
This is the way we hash it all out and figure out what's best for the whole group.
The only thing I'd say is, if you're going to be part of a resident council, be part of it. They're supposed to work for us, and they do, but at the end of the day, we're the ones that make them work.
Resident councils can be among your best tools when crafting a dignified, enjoyable, safe life in long-term care communities. If you still have questions after watching this short video series, try our printed manual. It goes into more detail on each topic and provides additional common problems and solutions. Also, consider starting a new conversation in your long-term care community about resident councils and how to get the most out of yours. Friends of Residents in Long-Term Care produced this series and is a dedicated advocate for those in assisted living communities and nursing homes throughout North Carolina.